there's a really good chance that you're dealing with fat malabsorption. If you feel discomfort or pain after you've had fatty meals, if you have a history of gallstones, if you have any kind of intestinal disease, IBS, Crohn's disease, if you have hepatitis, pancreatic health issues, including diabetes, you would be well advised to support fat absorption from the digestive system, and there's a lot of ways to do it. You can blend your fatty foods, grind up your fatty foods in a Vitamix or in a food processor. That will help release some of the oils, some of the fatty substances. And keep in mind here, folks, vegetables count as fatty foods, at least for this discussion. Broccoli and cucumber count as fatty foods, even though they may not look that way. The phytonutrients, the plant nutrients, the phytoestrogens are located in the fatty compartment of the broccoli. And there is a fatty compartment in the broccoli and even in the celery and even in the lettuce for that matter. So grinding these things up in a food processor can help release some of the fatty substances. Mixing a little bit of oil in the food processor as you're grinding up these fatty foods, that can also help. If you heat your veggies, roast them or steam them very, very slightly, not too much because you don't want to cause any damage to the nutrients, so very slightly heating your vegetables in coconut oil, in butter, or in a little bit of olive oil can also help release some of those nutrients. Mix up make sure you're taking your bile salts and your digestive enzymes with your fatty meals. Make sure your digestive enzymes contain something called lipase, L-I-P-A-S-E. If you use the ultimate enzymes, you'll get lipase and you'll get bile salts. Use lecithin after meals. Lecithin is a classic example of an emulsifying agent. This is one of the reasons why lecithin is such powerful medicine. Lecithin is like a soap. Lecithin's got a watery side to it and a fatty side to it. It is a classic emulsifying agent. I use lecithin in skincare products. And by the way, emulsifying agents are used a lot in skincare products because skincare products, creams and lotions that is, are typically emulsions. They're typically made with an oil portion and a oil portion and a watery portion. And these two things are blended together with an emulsifying agent. Lecithin makes a great emulsifying agent for skincare products. Lecithin makes a great emulsifying agent for food. In fact, bile itself, the body's most important emulsifying agent, gets its emulsification properties largely because it's made of lecithin. Sulfur has got some emulsification properties. Using a gram of MSM every day can be helpful. So if you're taking vitamin D, you're taking vitamin D supplements, make sure you take them with fatty foods. Make sure you take your vitamin D supplements with fat absorption aids as well. And all that being said, food sources are not the best way to get your vitamin D. Supplements are not the best ways to get your vitamin D. The best way to get your vitamin D, and most of the vitamin D that's found in the body, comes from the sun. Our skin is capable of making vitamin D when it's in the sun, and this solar activation of a chemical, I'll tell you what that chemical is on our next program, this solar activation of this chemical and its ability to turn into vitamin D, in my opinion, is one of the most astounding aspects of all of biology. It means, folks, we're solar activated beings. There's aspects of our chemistry that are essential for our health and for our lives that are the products of sunlight activation. We are solar activated entities. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We're back on The Bright Side. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about how the body actually makes vitamin D. It's really, really cool how this whole thing happens. Most of the vitamin D in our blood comes from this chemical reaction that occurs between the sun and a very interesting molecule that's in the skin. Some of you guys know what that is. We'll tell you what it is tomorrow as we continue talking about vitamin D and bone building. By the way, for ladies out there, if you're interested in getting some phytoestrogens, plant estrogens can help you skate through menopause a little bit more effectively, with a little bit more ease. Phytoestrogens, plant-based estrogens, can have important benefits for the digestive system. They can have important benefits for weight loss. They can have important benefits for blood sugar control. These phytoestrogens are found in seeds, largely seeds and nuts and grains to a certain extent. Soy is the most commonly recognized source of phytoestrogens. You can actually get two phytoestrogens that are found in soy called genistin and diazidin, G-E-N-I-S-T-E-N, genistin and diazidin, and that's D-A-I-Z-E. daidzein, that's kind of hard to say. You can get these things as supplements, and they're marketed as bone-building supplements, and largely because of their phytoestrogenic properties. These phytoestrogens also can help the body process and build bone. Flax seeds are my favorite way to get phytoestrogens, and men benefit from phytoestrogens just as much as women do, by the way. Flax seeds are my favorite way to get phytoestrogens because if you grind up your flax seeds and put them in your smoothie, not only will you get the phytoestrogens, but you'll also get the fiber. And flaxseed fiber also is a good source of protein and fatty vitamins like vitamin E, especially like vitamin E. All right, let's see. Anything else I want to tell you about vitamin D? I think we'll hold off on that tomorrow. We'll talk about the sun and vitamin D and why you don't want to wear sunscreen. You know, sunscreens block out the sun. Of course, they block out UVB, but they also block out the body's ability to make vitamin D. Most of the vitamin D that's in the blood comes from the sun, and it comes from the burning ray. The sun is made up of 3 rays. Sun energy is made up of 3 rays. We call them UVA rays or UVB rays or UVC rays. And these 3 different rays all have different frequencies or different what they call wavelengths, different speeds. You can think of them as being faster or slower. Your UVC ray is the fastest, your UVA ray is the slowest, and your UVB ray, the one right in the middle, that's the ray that causes burning, and that's the ray that makes the vitamin D. So if you're wearing a sunscreen or you're wearing a sunblock, you're not going to be getting that UVB, and you're not going to be making vitamin D. And by the way, the same thing is true about folks who have a lot of pigment, especially black folks who have lots of melanin. African Americans are well known for having lower levels of vitamin D and higher rates of vitamin D deficiency health issues, including hypertension and prostate disease and colon disease and breast disease. All of these are vitamin D deficiency related conditions, and because African Americans have so much melanin in their skin, they are at high risk for vitamin D deficiency. So if you're African American, you may especially want to make sure that you're correcting any fat malabsorption issues and that you're supplementing with vitamin D and eating vitamin D containing foods. We'll talk about all this tomorrow as we continue talking about bone building nutrition, fat absorption, and vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. Our number today, 855-660-4261. Got a line open for you. Love to hear from you. Let's take our first phone call of the day. Pat in Texas, welcome to the Bright Side.
Hi, Ben. Yes, I had called a couple of days ago, and you told me to call back. My husband has nerve pain in his hands, and also need to let you know he has neurofibromatosis.
I hate it when you say that. He doesn't have neurofibromatosis. He's just got inflammation in his body. These are just I'm teasing you a little bit here, Pat. The doctors love naming these stupid things, giving you these dumb Latin terms to try and tell you what's going on. So he doesn't have neurofibromatosis like you have a child or you have a house or you have a car. When you say you have something, that's like a possession of yours. He doesn't have a process. Neurofibromatosis simply means he's got fibers in his nerves. His nerve cells are probably pumping out fibers. His nerve cells are going nuts. That's what's happening. Neurons or nerve cells are going crazy. That's basically what it is. You understand what I'm saying? Why you don't want to say, I have this? Because it sounds like it's your possession. It sounds like you own it now. It's not your possession. This is just something that's happening in his body. He doesn't have, well, I'm not going to go there. Point is, when we have a dysfunction in the body, when we have a pathology in the body, when we're experiencing symptomology in the body, it is nothing more than cells going crazy. Period. The only question we got to ask is, why are cells going crazy? Nerve pain is a classic sign of inflammation, and not necessarily big inflammation, macro inflammation. I'm talking about microinflammation. I know I say this a lot, but for the new listeners out there, there's 2 kinds of inflammation that occur in the body. One is the kind of inflammation that you get when you break your leg or sprain your ankle or get punched in the eye or whatever, get hit with a baseball. That's macroinflammation. That's swelling, and you can obviously see that. But there's also the same kind of inflammation that occurs at the microscopic level of a cell. And when that occurs, cells begin to go crazy. They don't get the food they need. They can't eliminate the wastes that they're producing. They can't get oxygen. They suffocate. I call it suffocation, starvation, toxification. It's a result of inflammation, and what's worse is microinflammation, that is. And what's worse is it spirals. It's a vicious circle. So once you have that inflammation, you get more starvation, toxification, and suffocation, which leads to more inflammation, which leads to more suffocation, toxification, and starvation, etc. Does that make sense, Pat? You see where I'm going with this thing? Okay.
Right.
Okay, so what we want to do, if we want to break this spiral, break this circle, is we want to figure out what is getting into the body that's causing, causing these cells to become inflamed. And inflammation is like a beaver's dam. You know, you ever see a beaver's dam, how there's all kinds of sticks and muck and it all kind of plugs up the water and you get this kind of pool of water being surrounded by a barricade that we call a dam? You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Well, the same thing is happening at a microscopic level, except the beaver's dam, that is the microinflammation of the body, is not made up of logs and bricks. It's made up of fibers. This is where that word fiber comes from. And what did you call it? Neurofibra. Just tell me again. Neurofibromatosis, all right? It's just fibers in the nerves, basically, is what you're talking about. Right. And so these fibers in the nerves are causing a suffocation and starvation and a toxification of the nerve cells. And the nerve cells respond to that by becoming super sensitized, and that's the pain. Now, all that is just theory about what's happening in the body. What you want to do is say, how can we resolve this? The way you resolve any kind of inflammatory issue, and all disease has an inflammatory component, a microinflammatory component. The way you resolve this thing is you figure out what is getting into the body that's triggering this microinflammation. Now, microinflammation has a synonym, has another word that describes it, and that's called immunity. Microinflammation is the sign of an immune response. Are you with me so far? Because I'm trying to lead you here a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. So microinflammation is a sign of an immune response. What's an immune response? An immune response is a defensive response. The immune system is the defense system. So microinflammation means something has gotten into the body that's triggering the body's defense system. Okay? Hang tight, because I'm going to finish this when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. Got a line open for you at 855-660-4261 if you want to get on board. We'll be back right after this. All right, Pat from Texas. Are you there, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, so it turns out I did a little research here. Neurofibromatosis is tumor cells growing in the nerves, but it's the same idea. Okay. Cells going crazy, okay? It's cells dividing out of control, cells doing what they shouldn't be doing. Why do cells do what they shouldn't be doing? Listen, you got 100 trillion cells, Pat, and for the most part, they're working perfectly. For most of our lives, they work perfectly. But when we get older, when our body starts to break down, they don't work so perfectly, and there's only one thing we need to ask when our cells aren't working perfectly, and all disease is cell disease, so it's basically anything going wrong with our body. There's only one thing we need to ask: what is getting into the body that is activating this immunity and inflammatory response that's causing the cell dysfunction? The immune system is the defense system. It's a sign of a defensive response. Now, I don't know your husband, right? Never talked to you before. How old is he, by the way?
He's 43.
Okay. He's very young to be having this, by the way. So I can tell you with great definity, I can tell you with 100% surety, this man has had long-standing digestive health issues. Okay? And I can tell you that because he's too young to be having this kind of breakdown. When you have this kind of breakdown at an early age, it means the body has been attacked for many years, probably decades, probably since he was a kid. Is this ringing a bell at all, ma'am?
Oh, yeah. Well, he's had the neurofibromatosis all his life. It's just that the
food allergies, the food allergies, the digestive breakdown, the cramping, the bloating. Has he had that all his life? Or do you know? He's had problems with food all of his life, yeah. Okay. Now, Pat, do you see how I did this here? It's not like I'm psychic. I'm telling you this because this is how the body breaks down. And I'm making myself irrelevant because you don't even need me. You know, you don't need somebody to tell you these things. There's a connection between the foods we eat and how we process them, our digestive processing, and the manifestation of these diseases. This is what your doctor should be doing. This is what doctors should be doing. You should be connecting these things up. Folks, you cannot eat the foods we eat. You cannot suffer and deal with digestive issues and say, well, everybody has it, or I'm just going to deal with them, or they're not that big a deal, and not expect it to compound.